Students. So now let us we have to start our English live class invitation to English 2. ଗତକାଲି ଆମେ invitation English 2 ର ଆମେ ମାନେ Monkey'S Paw non detail story ଗତକାଲି ଏବଂ ସେ ଯୋଉ Monkey'S Paw ର ଆମେ ଯୋଉଟା scene 1 ଗତକାଲି କମ୍ପ୍ଲିଟ କରିଥିଲେ। ଆଜି ଆମେ ସେଇ Monkey'S Paw ର scene 2 ଆରମ୍ଭ କରିବା। ଆଉ ଦୁଇଟି scene ଅଛି scene 2 ଏବଂ 3। ଗତକାଲି ଯୋଉ କ୍ଲାସଟି ଆମେ ନେଇଥିଲେ ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ କ୍ଲାସ Monkey'S Paw ର scene ଟା ଆମେ କମ୍ପ୍ଲିଟ କରିଥିଲେ scene 1। ଆଜି ଆମେ scene 2 ର କ୍ଲାସଟା ନବା ଏବଂ scene 3। ଯୋଉ ପିଲାମାନେ ଆମର ନିୟମିତ ଭାବରେ ଲାଇଭରେ ଯୋଗ ଦଉଛ ସବୁ ପିଲାମାନେ ଲାଇଭ ଆସିଯାଅ। ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଆମେ କ୍ଲାସ ଆରମ୍ଭ କରି ଛୁଟି ରହିଛି Monkey'S Paw ଗତ କ୍ଲାସରେ ତାର scene 1 ଆମେ କମ୍ପ୍ଲିଟ କରିଥିଲେ। ଆଜି ଆମେ scene 2 ଏବଂ scene 3 ଆରମ୍ଭ କରିବା। ପିଲାମାନେ ଆମର ଲାଇଭ ଆସିଯାଅ। ଏ ବିଷୟଟି ଅଛି। ସୋ scene 2 ସ୍କ୍ରିନ୍ ଉପରେ ମୁଁ ରଖିଛି ଡିସପ୍ଲେରେ ଭିଜୁଆଲରେ ଲକ୍ଷ୍ୟ କରନ୍ତୁ। ତେଣୁ ଏ ଯୋଉ scene 1 ଟି ରହିଛି କମ୍ପ୍ଲିଟ କରିଥିଲେ ଗତ କ୍ଲାସରେ। ଆଜି ଆମେ ଏଇ scene 2 ଆରମ୍ଭ କରିବା। ସବୁ ପିଲାମାନେ ଲାଇଭ ଆସିଯାଅ। ସୋ ଦ ନେକ୍ସଟ ଆଫ୍ଟରନୁନ ତା ପରଦିନ ଅପରାହ୍ନରେ the sun shines into the living room. Mr. and Mrs. White are drinking tea and sitting through the day's mail. The paw lies on a shelf, ignored. Mrs. White, plenty of bills so far, but no check for 200 pounds. So I suppose her Bart will have more of his funny remarks for you when he gets home from the factory. ତେଣୁ ଲେଖକ ଆମକୁ ନେକ୍ସଟ ଆଫ୍ଟରନୁନ ମିନ୍ସ ତା ପର ଦିନର ଅପରାହ୍ନକୁ ନେଇଯାଇଛନ୍ତି। Go to the next afternoon. Thank you, Kausalya. Hariom, pranam. So the writer takes us ଦିନର ଅପରାହ୍ନକୁ ନେଇଯାଇଛନ୍ତି ଯେତେବେଳେ ମିଷ୍ଟର ଆଣ୍ଡ ମିସେସ୍ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ ଥାକରେ ଥିବା ପଞ୍ଝା ଉପରେ ନଜର ପକାଇବାକୁ ଇଚ୍ଛା କରିନାହାନ୍ତି ଏବଂ ଶ୍ରୀଯୁକ୍ତ ଆଉ ଶ୍ରୀମତୀ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ ଚାହା ପିଉଥିବା ସମୟରେ ଡାକରେ ଆସିଥିବା ଚିଠି ବା ମନି ଅର୍ଡର ଆଦିକୁ ସେ ବାଛିକି ଦେଖୁଛନ୍ତି। ମାଙ୍କଡର ସେଇ ପଞ୍ଝାଟି ଅବହେଳିତ ଭାବରେ ଗୋଟିଏ ଥାକ ଉପରେ ପଡି ରହିଛି। So I am sure about the thing moved in my hands. I had swear to that, Mrs. White. Soothingly, you thought it did. ଶ୍ରୀମତୀ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ ଗଦା ଗଦା ଡାକ ଚିଠି ମଧ୍ୟରେ ଗୋଟିଏ ହେଲେ 200 ପାଉଣ୍ଡର ଚେକ୍ ନ ପାଇବାରୁ ଦୁଃଖିତ ହୋଇ ପଡିଛନ୍ତି ଏବଂ ଏହାର ଅର୍ଥ ଶ୍ରୀମତୀ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ଙ୍କ ମତରେ କାରଖାନାରୁ ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟରୀରୁ ଫେରିବାରେ ହର୍ବାର୍ଟଙ୍କ ବାପା ମିଷ୍ଟର ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ଙ୍କ ଉପରେ ଅଧିକରୁ ଅଧିକ ବ୍ୟଙ୍ଗ କରିବାର ଭିତରେ ଭାବିଛନ୍ତି। ମିସେସ୍ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ is looking past him out the window. So there is somebody outside, a man in a business suit. I have never seen him before. He is acting very strange as if he can't decide whether to open the gate or not. Here he comes up the path now. ତେଣୁ ମିଷ୍ଟର ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ ଇଚ୍ଛା ପ୍ରାର୍ଥନା ସମୟରେ ମାଙ୍କଡର ପଞ୍ଝାଟି ତାଙ୍କ ହାତରେ ଗତି କରୁଥିବା କଥା କହିବାରୁ ମିସେସ୍ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ ଏଥିରେ ସହମତି ଦେଇନାହାନ୍ତି। ତାଙ୍କ ମତରେ ମିସେସ୍ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍କୁ ଏପରି ଲାଗିଥିବ ଯେ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ସେ ବିଷୟରେ ଚିନ୍ତା କରିବାର କୌଣସି ଆବଶ୍ୟକତା ନାହିଁ। Stranger stands silently for a moment, looking uncomfortable. ତେଣୁ ଅପରିଚିତ ବ୍ୟକ୍ତିତ୍ୱଙ୍କୁ ଘର ଭିତରକୁ ପାଛୋଟି ନେବାକୁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ସେ ଚାହିଁଛନ୍ତି, ହଠାତ୍ ଦ୍ୱାରରେ ଠକ୍ ଠକ୍ ଶବ୍ଦ ଶୁଣିକି ନିଜକୁ ଅନକମ୍ଫର୍ଟେବୁଲ ଅସହଜ ମନେ କରୁଥିବା ଅପରିଚିତ ବ୍ୟକ୍ତିକୁ ପାଛୋଟି ଆଣିବାକୁ ଯାଇଛନ୍ତି। ଯେତେବେଳେ ପରିପୋଷକ ପିନ୍ଧିଥିବା ଜଣେ ଅଜଣା ବ୍ୟକ୍ତି ବା ବ୍ୟବସାୟୀ ଦ୍ୱାରା ପାଖକୁ ଆସୁଥିବାର ଶ୍ରୀମତୀ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ ଦେଖିଦେଲେ ସହଜ ମନେ କରୁଥିବା ଅପରିଚିତ ବ୍ୟକ୍ତି ଷ୍ଟ୍ରେଞ୍ଜର ପର୍ସନକୁ ଘର ଭିତରକୁ ପାଛୋଟି ଆଣିବାକୁ ଯାଇଛନ୍ତି। Stranger, I was asked to come see you. I come from Ma and Meggins. ଶ୍ରୀଯୁକ୍ତ ଏବଂ ଶ୍ରୀମତୀ ହ୍ୱାଇଟକୁ ଅପରିଚିତ ବ୍ୟକ୍ତି ଜଣ କହିଛନ୍ତି, ହର୍ବାର୍ଟ କାମ କରୁଥିବା ମୋ ଆଣ୍ଡ ମେଗିନ୍ସ କମ୍ପାନୀରୁ ଆସିଛନ୍ତି। ହର୍ବାର୍ଟ ଯୋଉ କମ୍ପାନୀରେ କାମ କରୁଛି, ମୋ ଆଣ୍ଡ ମେଗିନ୍ସ କମ୍ପାନୀରୁ ଆସିଥିବା ବ୍ୟକ୍ତି ସେ ତାଙ୍କ ପରିଚୟ ଦଉଛନ୍ତି। ନାଓ calm down. No point jumping to conclusions. Looking hopefully at the stranger. I'm sure our visitor has not bad news, stranger. So I am sorry. ତେଣୁ ମିଷ୍ଟର ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ ଆଶା ପ୍ରକାଶ କରିଛନ୍ତି ଯେ ଅପରିଚିତ ବ୍ୟକ୍ତି ଜଣକ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରେଞ୍ଜର ପର୍ସନ ସମ୍ଭବତଃ ସେମାନଙ୍କର ପୁଅ ହର୍ବାର୍ଟ ବିଷୟରେ କିଛି ଖରାପ ଖବର ଆଣିନଥିବେ ବୋଲି ସେମାନଙ୍କ ମନ ଭିତରେ ଚିନ୍ତାଧାରା। ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ frantic, is he hurt? କିଛି କ୍ଷତି ହେଇଛି କି? Not badly hurt, but he is not in any pain. ପୁଅର ସବୁ ଭଗବାନଙ୍କୁ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି। She breaks up, suddenly understanding and stares at the stranger in growing horror. The stranger looks at the floor. Mrs. White turns to her husband and takes his hand. There is a long pause. ଏବଂ ସେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ଜଣାଇଛନ୍ତି, ଆତଙ୍କିତ ହୋଇ ଶ୍ରୀମତୀ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ ଅପରିଚିତ ବ୍ୟକ୍ତିଙ୍କୁ ସ୍ଥିର ଦୃଷ୍ଟିରେ ଚାହିଁ ରହିଛନ୍ତି, ତୀକ୍ଷ୍ଣ ନଜରରେ। ଚଟାଣ ଆଡକୁ ଚାହିଁ ଅପରିଚିତ ବ୍ୟକ୍ତି କଣ୍ଠସ୍ୱରରେ କହିଛନ୍ତି ଯେ, ହର୍ବାର୍ଟ ମେସେଜରେ ଭାଙ୍ଗି ପଡିଛନ୍ତି ମିଷ୍ଟର ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍, ହେଲେ ସେ ଆମର ଏକମାତ୍ର ସନ୍ତାନ। ତାପରେ ଅପରିଚିତ ବ୍ୟକ୍ତି ଜଣକ କହିଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନଙ୍କର ଗଭୀର କ୍ଷତି ନିମନ୍ତେ କମ୍ପାନୀ ସହାୟତା ବା ସହାନୁଭୂତି ଜ୍ଞାପନ କରୁଛି ବୋଲି ସେ ଦର୍ଶାଇଛନ୍ତି। ଷ୍ଟ୍ରେଞ୍ଜର ଇନ୍ ଲୋ ଭଏସ୍ ୱାଜ୍ କଟ୍ ଇନ୍ ଦ ମେସିନାରୀ। ତେଣୁ ସେ ଯେତେବେଳେ କାମ କରୁଥିଲେ କମ୍ପାନୀରେ କଟି ଯାଇଛନ୍ତି। So Mr. White caught in the machinery. He squeezes his wife's hands and stares blankly out the window. Then turns to the stranger. Yes, our only child. ତେଣୁ ଆପଣମାନେ ଜାଣୁଛନ୍ତି ତ, was our only child, one child. ଏ କଥା ତାଙ୍କୁ ବହୁତ ଆଘାତ ଦେଇଛି। So stranger said, clearing his throat. ଶ୍ୱାସରୋଧ ହୋଇ ସେ କହିଲେ, the company wants me to convey their sincere great loss. କମ୍ପାନୀ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଯୋଉ ବଡ କ୍ଷତି ହେଇଯାଇଛି ତା ବି ଉପରେ ସିଏ ସହାନୁଭୂତି ବା କିଛି ଭରଣା ପୋଷଣ ଦେବା ପାଇଁ କହୁଛନ୍ତି। I hope to understand that I am just doing my job. I am supposed to tell you that Mo and Meggins disclaim all responsibility. They admit no liability, but no consideration of your son's work. They would like to give you a certain sum as a compensation. जो निष्पत्ति ନେଇଛି କମ୍ପାନୀ ତାଙ୍କ ପୁଅର କର୍ତ୍ତବ୍ୟନିଷ୍ଠ କାରଣରୁ ସହାନୁଭୂତି କିଛି ସେ ଦେବା ପାଇଁ କମ୍ପାନୀ କ୍ଷତି ନିମନ୍ତେ କିଛି ଅର୍ଥ ଦେବା ପାଇଁ ଇଚ୍ଛା ପ୍ରକାଶ କରିଛି। ମିଷ୍ଟର ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ barely able to speak. କହିବାକୁ ସକ୍ଷମ ହେଲେ certain sum. How much? 200 pounds. ପ୍ରଶ୍ନ କରିଛି ନିର୍ଦ୍ଦିଷ୍ଟ ଅର୍ଥରାଶି, ଏକ ନିର୍ଦ୍ଦିଷ୍ଟ ପର୍ଟିକୁଲାର ପାଉଣ୍ଡ ଅର୍ଥାତ୍ କେତେ? ଅପରିଚିତ ବ୍ୟକ୍ତି ଜଣ କହିଛନ୍ତି 200 ପାଉଣ୍ଡ, 200 ପାଉଣ୍ଡ। ଏକଥା ଶୁଣି screams Mr. White holds out his hands and falls to the floor in a faint. ଭୟରେ ଚିତ୍କାର କରି ଉଠିଛନ୍ତି ଶ୍ରୀଯୁକ୍ତ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍, ହାତ ଦୁଇଟିକୁ ଆଗକୁ ବଢାଇ ମୂର୍ଚ୍ଛାଗତ ହୋଇ ଚଟାଣ ଉପରେ ପଡି ଯାଇଛନ୍ତି। Then go to our scene number 3. Now let us look at our scene 3. Night and a half later, एक रात्रि समय इज नाइट टाइम देढ़ सप्ताह पर एक रात्र समय नाइट टाइम ए वीक एंड हाफ लेटर ए वीक हाफ देढ़ सप्ताह गोटे सप्ताह आउ अधा देढ़ सप्ताह पर एक रात्र समय नाइट टाइम मिसेस व्हाइट स्टैंड्स इन द डोरवे वीपिंग as she looks out into the darkness तेणु बाहर अंधकार भीतर को चाहिए कहीं कहीं कौतुआ मिसेस व्हाइट द्वार बंधरे ठिया रही श्रीमती व्हाइट तल को आसिले goes to her and closes the door when puts his arms around her श्रीमती व्हाइट को पाखु जाई द्वार बंद कर दे निज बाहु दुईट को कांध उपरे पकाई देछन arms around her so Mr. White gently come back to bed it's cold out that tonight मिस्टर व्हाइट राति रे सज्जा निकट को आसिया पई मिसेस व्हाइट को नम्र भाव रे जेते बेले अनुरोध करिसंदी come back to bed is cold out there tonight so Mrs. White it is colder for my son she sobs suddenly she straightens and turns clutching her husband's arm so it is colder for my son she sobs suddenly she straightens and turns clutching her husband's arm स्वामींकर बाहु दुईट wildly the paw the monkey's paw what and where मिसेस व्हाइट मांकड़ पंजाटी को खोजिचंती मिसेस व्हाइट कहिचंती ता ऊपर महला ता ऊपर महला रे अछि I want it you didn't get rid of it did you it's upstairs means या ऊपर महला रे अछि so I think why मैं चाहूची काहे की मैं भाबुची काहे की but why so Mrs. White crying and laughing didn't I think of it before I didn't do think of it तेणु मिस्टर व्हाइट कहले मांकड़ पंजा कथा आगरु मन पकाई नथिले तू मांकड़ पंजा कथा काहे की भाबिल मिस्टर व्हाइट कहले कोन पई भाबी तांदी एवं मिसेस व्हाइट कहला हमें गोटे मात्र इच्छा पूर्ण पई प्रार्थना करि जाऊ दुईटी इच्छा पूर्ण करि परिबा think of what दादा two wishes आउ दुईटी इच्छा we have only had fiercely isn't that enough तेणु कहले आउ दुईटी इच्छा हम पूर्ण करि परिबा तो एकदा सुनी भयभीत होई गले एवं मिसेस व्हाइट निज जिदी रे अटल रहिले स्टेबल was not that enough no well I have no one more am pagra अधिक नाही go get it down and wish our boy alive again से मांकड़ पंजा को निज पुओ को जीवन धरी फेरी आसिया पई प्रार्थना करिवे जेहेतु आम पाखरे प्रथम इच्छा पूर्ण होई सारछि द्वितीय इच्छा मध्ये निश्चय पूर्ण हबो मिसेस व्हाइट कहिचंती के हा को वहा संजोग थिला so Mr. White stepping back in horror you are insane Mrs. White I want my son back I want see my son तेणु मु मो पुओ को फेरे आनिबा को चाहूची ए जिद्रे सी अटल रहिले I want my son back I want see my son मु देखिया चाहूची मो पुओ को you don't know what are you saying तुम जानि ना तुम कोन कहउछ Mrs. White what the first wish granted प्रथम इच्छा पूर्ण why not the second द्वितीयटा काहे की पूर्ण होबन मिस्टर व्हाइट इट वाज ए कोइंसिडेंस तेणु यह एक संयोग थिला गो एंड गेट इट एंड विश एवं जाओ फेसिंग हर एंड टेकिंग हर बाय द आर्म्स सीता को सामना कले एवं कोलाग्रत कले हैज बीन डेड 10 days एकमात्र पुओ जे कि गत 10 दिन पूर्वरु डायड मरि जाइछि एंड बिसाइड्स एतद व्यतीत I didn't want to tell you this एवं से केवल एई कथा भाबुचंदी से आउ किछि कहिया को चाहू ना बट I could not only recognize him by his clothes से केवल हरबाट रो पोशाक रु ताकू ही चिन्हि पारिले his clothes was mangled in the machinery. କାରଖାନାର ଯନ୍ତ୍ର ଭିତରେ ସେ ଖଣ୍ଡ ବିଖଣ୍ଡିତ ହୋଇଯାଇଥିଲା। For you to see then, how would it be now? If he was too terrible, ବହୁତ ଭୟଙ୍କର ଥିଲା। For you to see then, how would it be now? ଏ କଥା ସେତେବେଳେ ଦେଖିବା କଥା ବହୁତ ଭୟାନକ ଥିଲା। ଏବେ ତମେ ତାକୁ କିପରି ଦେଖିବ? How would it be now? ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ତୁମେ କିପରି ଦେଖିପାରିବ? Mrs. White, bring him back. Do you think I would fear my own son? ତଥାପି ହରବାଟର ଜୀବନ ଫେରାଇ ଆଣିବା ପାଇଁ ମିଷ୍ଟର ହ୍ୱାଇଟଙ୍କୁ ମିସେସ୍ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ Mr. White goes slowly upstairs. ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ ଉପର ମହଲା ଗଲେ। Followed by his wife, ତାଙ୍କ ସ୍ତ୍ରୀଙ୍କ ପଛରେ। He takes the paw and stares at it. ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ ତାଙ୍କ ପଛରେ ଯାଇଛନ୍ତି। Upstairs, ଉପର ମହଲାକୁ। ମାଙ୍କଡ ପଞ୍ଜାକୁ ଧରି ସେ ତାହା ଆଡକୁ ଆଖି ପୁରାଇ ଚାହିଁ ରହିଛନ୍ତି। Mrs. White wishes, ଇଚ୍ଛା, White weakly, it's foolish and wicked. କହିଲେ ଇଏ ଆମ ପାଇଁ ବୋକାମିର ପରିଚୟ ହବ। Wish, ଇଚ୍ଛା, Mr. White holding up the paw. ମାଙ୍କଡ ପଞ୍ଜାକୁ ଧରିଛନ୍ତି କହୁଛନ୍ତି I wish my son alive again. ମୋ ପୁଅକୁ ମୁଁ ପୁଣି ଜୀବିତ କରି ଯାଇପାରେ। ମୋ ପୁଅ ପୁନର୍ବାର ଜୀବିତ। ତାଙ୍କ ହାତରୁ ପଞ୍ଝାଟି ଗଳି ପଡିଛି ଏବଂ ଭୟରେ ଥରି ଉଠିଛନ୍ତି ଏବଂ ଗୋଟିଏ ଚେୟାର ଉପରକୁ ଯେମିତି ଟଳି ପଡିଛନ୍ତି ଏବଂ ସେ କହୁଛନ୍ତି ମୋ ପୁଅ ପୁନର୍ବାର ଯେମିତି ଜୀବିତ ହେଇକି ଉଠୁ। Drops the paw and into a chair. ସେ ମାଙ୍କଡ ପଞ୍ଝାଟିକୁ ହାତରେ ଧରିଛନ୍ତି ଭୟରେ ଥରି ଉଠିଛନ୍ତି ଏବଂ ଗୋଟିଏ ଚେୟାର ଭିତରକୁ ଟଳି ପଡିଛନ୍ତି। କହୁଛନ୍ତି ମୋ ପୁଅ ପୁଣି ଲାଇଭ୍ ଏଗେନ୍, ଆଉ ଥରେ ସେ ଜୀବିତ ହେଉ। Mrs. White runs to the window and stands looking out. ଝରକା ନିକଟକୁ ଯାଇକି ଦୌଡ଼ି ଯାଇ ବାହାରକୁ ଚାହିଁକି ଠିଆ ହୋଇ ରହିଛନ୍ତି। The clock ticks. କାନ୍ଥ ଘଣ୍ଟାର ଟିକ୍ 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 ଶବ୍ଦ। Stair cracks. ଚେୟାରର କେଁ 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 ଶବ୍ଦ ଭିତରେ Mrs. White comes and sits by her husband. ଆସି ତାଙ୍କ ସ୍ୱାମୀଙ୍କ ପାଖରେ ବସି ଯାଇଛନ୍ତି। Finally, a quiet knock is heard. Mrs. White jumps up. ଶେଷରେ ସେମାନେ ଏକ ମୃଦୁ କରାଘାତ ଶବ୍ଦ ଶୁଣିଛନ୍ତି ଏବଂ ଉଠି ପଡିଛନ୍ତି। Mrs. White, what is that? ଏଟା କଣ? Sickly, mouse, it is just a mouse in the wall. Another knock louder this time. ତୀବ୍ର ତାର ଠକ୍ 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 ଶବ୍ଦ ଶୁଣି ପାରିଛନ୍ତି ମିଷ୍ଟର ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ ଏବଂ ମିସେସ୍ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍। ନିଶ୍ଚିନ୍ତ ଏହା ତାଙ୍କର ପୁତ୍ର ହାର୍ବର୍ଟର କରାଘାତ ଥିବ ବୋଲି ତାଙ୍କର ଅନୁମାନ। ପୁତ୍ରର ମୃତ୍ୟୁର ଶୋକରେ ବିଚଳିତ ହୋଇ ପଡିଛନ୍ତି। It is Herbert, it is our son. କହିଲେ ସେ ହେଉଛି ମୋ ପୁଅ। She starts to White grabs her by the arm. ଏବଂ ସେ ତାଙ୍କୁ କୋଳାଗ୍ରତ କରି ବାହୁରେ ଧରି ରଖିଛନ୍ତି। ମିଷ୍ଟର ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍, what to do? ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ତମେ କଣ କରିବାକୁ ଯାଉଛ ମିସେସ୍ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍? It is Herbert, ଏ ହେଉଛି Herbert. What are you holding me for? ତୁମେ ମତେ କାହିଁକି ଧରୁଛ? Let's go so. Open the door. Mrs. White harshly, don't let it in. ତେଣୁ ଘର ଭିତରକୁ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ସିଏ ନେଇ ଆସିଛନ୍ତି ଦ୍ୱାର ପାଖକୁ ଦୌଡ଼ି ଯାଇଛନ୍ତି। ପାଗଳି ପ୍ରାୟ ମିସେସ୍ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ ଚିତ୍କାର କରି ଉଠିଛନ୍ତି। How can you afraid of your own son? Let me go. ମତେ louder and louder. ଜୋରରେ ଚିତ୍କାର କରି ଉଠୁଛନ୍ତି। ସେ breaks free and runs down to the door. ଏବଂ ଦୌଡ଼ି ଯାଇଛନ୍ତି କବାଟର ନିକଟକୁ ବା ଡୋରର ନିକଟକୁ। As he struggles with the lock, Mr. White falls to his knees. He picks up the monkey's paw from the floor and holds it up in his right hand. ନିଜ ଡାହାଣ ହାତରେ ଧରିଛନ୍ତି। His left କଣ ହଉଛି ମାନେ କିଛି କହିବାର ସ୍ପନ୍ଦନ ସୃଷ୍ଟି କରାଉଛି। And once the knocking stops and the door swing open, ପୁନର୍ବାର ଡୋର ଖୋଲି ଦଉଛନ୍ତି। There is a pause ଏବଂ ଦେଇ ଦଉଛନ୍ତି and then a long loud wail from Mrs. White. Beyond her, the road is empty. ତେଣୁ ହଠାତ୍ କରାଘାତ ବନ୍ଦ ହେବା ସହ ଦ୍ୱାର ମଧ୍ୟ ଓପନ ହେଇଯାଇଛି। ଦ୍ୱାର ମଧ୍ୟ ଖୋଲି ଯାଇଛି। ଶ୍ରୀମତୀ ହ୍ୱାଇଟଙ୍କର କଣ୍ଠରୁ ଏକ ଦୀର୍ଘ ତୀବ୍ର କ୍ରନ୍ଦନର ସ୍ୱର ବାହାରି ଆସିଛି। Long loud wail from Mrs. White. Beyond her, द रोड इज एम्प्टी ଏବଂ ତାଙ୍କ ସାମ୍ନାରେ ରାସ୍ତା ଶୂନ୍ୟ ଥିବାର ସେ ଦୃଶ୍ୟ ଦେଖିଛନ୍ତି। ତେଣୁ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଆମର ସିନ୍ 3 ମଧ୍ୟ କମ୍ପ୍ଲିଟ ହେଇଗଲା। ଏ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ସିନ୍ 1, 2 ଆଉ 3 ର କେତେ ଗୁଡ଼ିଏ କୋଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ଏଠି ଦିଆ। ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ। ଆପରେ ଆମେ ନେକ୍ସଟ କ୍ଲାସ୍ ନେଇକି ଆସିବା ଆମର ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ମଙ୍କିଜ୍ ପଜ୍ ର କୋଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ଆନ୍ସର ଡିସ୍କସନ କ୍ଲାସ୍ ସିନ୍ 1 ଦେନ୍ ସିନ୍ 2 ଦେନ୍ ସିନ୍ 3 ତିନିଟାଙ୍କର ଆମେ କେତେ ଗୁଡ଼ିଏ ଭୋକାବୁଲାରୀ ଏକ୍ସରସାଇଜ ତା ସହିତ କେତେ ଗୁଡ଼ିଏ କମ୍ପାରିସନ କୋଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ଆନ୍ସର ଆମେ ନେଇକି ଆସିବା ନେକ୍ସଟ କ୍ଲାସ୍ ରେ ତାକୁ ଆମେ ଡିସ୍କସନ କରିବା ହେଲା। ତେଣୁ ଧର ଗୋଟେ ଏକ୍ସାମ୍ପଲ ଗୋଟେ କୋଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ମନେ କରନ୍ତୁ What are special about the monkey's paw? 2 ନମ୍ବର କୋଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ଲକ୍ଷ୍ୟ କରନ୍ତୁ What are the special about the monkey's paw? Special about the monkey's paw. स्वतंत्रता कौन थिला मांकड़र पंजा विषय द monkey's paw was a little paw dried up. A holy man had put a magic spell on it. He wanted to show that destiny is the ruler of the people's lives. So, anyone who tries to meddle with it will invite sorrow. 3 people would have 3 wishes from it. 3 ଜଣ ଲୋକ 3 ଗୋଟି ଇଚ୍ଛା ଥିଲା। ହେଲା ଧର ଏଠି ଗୋଟେ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ହାଉ ଡିଡ୍ ଦ ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ଓନର ଅଫ ଦ monkey's paw ୟୁଜ୍ ଇଟ୍? Okay, how did the first owner of the monkey's paw use it? ବୁଝିପାରୁଛନ୍ତି ତ? The first owner of the monkey's paw had 3 wishes. Yet the writer was not aware of what the first 2 were, but it was certain that the third wish was for death. ବୁଝିପାରୁଛନ୍ତି? How did the first owner of the monkey's paw use it? 3 ନମ୍ବର ପ୍ରଶ୍ନ। The first owner of the monkey's paw had 3 wishes. Yet the writer was not aware of what the first 2 were for, but it was certain that the third wish was for death. third wish ଟା ଥିଲା। ବୁଝିପାରୁଛନ୍ତି? 3 ନମ୍ବର ପ୍ରଶ୍ନର 4 ନମ୍ବର ପ୍ରଶ୍ନକୁ ଯିବା। Why could not Maurice sell the monkey's paw? Why could not Maurice sell the monkey's paw? Maurice could not sell the monkey's paw because it had already caused enough harm. It had already caused enough harm. In addition to this fact, to some people it was nothing but a share of fairy tale, and others were interested to test it. So first and pay him afterwards. Question number 4. Why could not Maurice sell the monkey's paw? Maurice could not sell the monkey's paw because it had already caused enough harm. In addition to this fact, to some people it was nothing but a sheer fairy tale, and others were interested to test it. First, and pay him afterwards. Okay, let us question number 5. Answer number प्रश्न देखो. How did the whites get the monkey's paw? How did whites get किपरि पाइली the monkey's paw? The whites got the monkey's paw from Sergeant Major Morris. He had thrown the monkey's paw into the fire. Mr. White hastily retrieved it from the fire before it started to burn. जलिया पूर्वरु. So at last he bought it from Major Maurice. The whites got the monkey's paw from Sergeant Major Maurice. He had thrown the monkey's paw into the fire. Mr. White hastily retrieved it from the fire from Major Maurice. Okay. Then question number 6. How does Maurice describe the monkey's paw? How does Maurice describe the monkey's paw? Maurice indirectly states that the monkey's paw is dangerous. Maurice indirectly states that the monkey's paw is dangerous. Thanks to a holy man, it possessed magical power. It possessed a magical power. As a result, its owner could for anything and it could be fulfilled. So, no one could go beyond the wild of 3 wishes. In other words, the Maurice refers to the paw's power. It would be fulfilled. So, no one could go beyond the wild of 3 wishes. In other words, the Maurice refers to the paw's omnipotent power. Omnipotent power. Okay. Then go to question number 7. What did Maurice say about how to use the monkey's paw? What was his warning to the whites? What did Maurice say about how to use the monkey's paw? Question number 7. Maurice instructed Mr. White to hold the monkey's paw. Maurice instructed Mr. White to hold the monkey's paw in his right hand and wish anything loudly. In his right hand and wish anything loudly. What was his warning to the whites? His warning to the whites was that they would dislike the consequences of their wishes. What warning to the whites was that they would dislike the consequences of their wishes. Consequences of their wishes. Then go to question number 8. What were the things mentioned by Sergeant Major Maurice hinted at the white's fate where that Maurice wanted? So Mr. White to throw the monkey's paw back in the fire and warned him of its consequence. So above all, Maurice sincerely advised them to wish for something sensible. So then, go to our next page. Question number 9. What is the first wish? What was the first wish? How was it made? What is the first wish? How was it made? So the first wish was for 200 pounds. The first wish was for 200 pounds. So Mr. White wished it by holding up the paw. Tapped the drum roll on the table with his hands. The first wish was for 200 pounds. For White wished it by holding up the paw as Herbert tapped a drum roll on the table with his hands. Then question number 10. Compare Mr. White's and Herbert's attitudes toward the monkey's paw. I was it logical that Herbert would be the victim of the first wish. Compare Mr. White's and Herbert's attitudes towards the monkey's paw. I was it logical that Herbert would be the victim of the first wish. So Mr. White's attitude towards the monkey's paw was entirely one of the credulous to him. Wishing on it was ridiculous. At last he used it as a token of his first wish, so partly in jest and partly out of the curiosity. Herbert believed that Sergeant Major Murray's stories were nothing but a pack of all tall tales and treated the monkey's paw with irreverent humor. So he encouraged his father to wish for an impulsive and then jokingly suggested him to wish for £200 only to pay off the mortgage. Herbert did not believe for a moment that the paw was magical. Did not believe for a moment that the paw was magical. But he unknowingly predicted the outcome of the wish when he told his parents that he would never see the money. It was logical that Herbert would be the victim of the first wish. So then, sons 2. Let's see, sons 2. What is the effect of the first wish? Then go to sin 2. Question number 11. Sin 2. Sin number 2. Then question number 11. Sin 2. Question 11. What is the effect of the first wish? What is the effect of the first wish? So, the effect of the first wish was horrific. The effect of the first wish was horrific. Mr. White's wish was granted immediately. The next day, the representative of Maw and Meggins gave the Whites the news of Herbert's death because he became intolerant in the machinery. So his body was mangled. He handed over £200 to Mr. White as a compensation. In such time, White's first wish was granted, but at the cost of his son. Mrs. White was inconsolable at her son's ultimately death. It shattered their happiness. That is the first wish, effect of the first wish. So then, sin 3. Let us look sin 3. Question number 12. Why did not Mr. White want to make the second wish? Why didn't Mr. White want to make the second wish? Mr. White tried to convince her husband, Mrs. White's life, but Mr. White did not want to make the second wish. So because it would be foolish and disastrous. He feared that his wife would be unable to recognize mutilated body of her back. So in his view, the second wish would be more dangerous than the first one. The second wish would be more dangerous than the first one. So then go to question number 13. Bring him back. Do you think I would fear my own son? Why does Mrs. White say so? Bring him back. Do you think I would fear my own son? Why does Mrs. White say so? Question number 13. So Mrs. White says so because she is curious to see her son come back alive. The death of her son and the belief that it might have been prevented nearly drive her say so. So her transformation is dramatic. Her transformation is dramatic, but she still changes from an intelligent self possessed woman into a raving, shrieking, weeping mountain. Mrs. White says to his husband, to her husband, she is curious, come back to alive. The death of her son and the belief that it might have been prevented nearly drive her insane, made her so. Her transformation is dramatic. Mrs. Wade's transformation is dramatic, but she still changes from an intelligent, self-possessed woman into a raving, shrieking, weeping murderer. Then go to question number 14. What is the final wish? What was the final wish? So the final wish was to put an end, repeated, knocking on the White's door, knocking on White's door. Messing up, the knocking has an unrelated coincidence. So on related coincidence, Mr. White immediately jumps to the conclusion the devil stands on the door or other side, as if believing the paw has punished him for being greedy. The decision to make the unwanted visitors away with his third wish may reflect his desire and not to save him and his lover, but also redeem for his sins. Also redeem for his. So then question number 15. We have to complete our question number 14. Then go to question number 15. So did the whites get what they really wanted? Did the whites get what they really wanted? Give reasons for your answer. Question number 15. The whites did not get what they really wanted. They got 200 pounds but lost their son. Got 200 pounds but lost their son. Their happiness has collapsed like a house of cards. Mr. White understands the significance of the wishes. Mrs. White roll did the other. White roll did the author wants the monkey's paw here. What role did the author want the monkey's paw to play here? Question number 16. What role did the author want the monkey's paw to play here? So, the author wanted the monkey's paw to play practical role here. So, the author wanted the monkey's paw to play here. A Jacob suggests making one seemingly harmless wish only intensifies and magnifies desire as each subsequent wish becomes calm, more outlandish. What role did the author want the monkey's paw to play here? What role? The author wanted the monkey's paw to play practical role here. So as Jacob suggests, making one seemingly harmless, which only intensifies and makes as each subsequent, which becomes more outlandish. So then go to question number 17. Number 17. Why did The holy man want to prove to people by the putting the spell on the paw. What did the holy man want to prove? कौन प्रमाण କରିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଥିଲେ to people by putting the spell on the paw. So the holy man wanted to prove, the holy man wanted to prove to people something practical by putting the spell in the paw. So the holy man wanted to prove to symbol is desire, greed, everything that his owner could possibly wish for and the unrestricted ability to make it happen. Unrestricted ability to make it happen. So this paw makes one alluring even to on. Now, now let us go to our question number 18. So in your opinion, did the holy man make his point? Why? But from the grave, as a living corpus, so more power and pelf. So in this way, we have to complete our non-detailed story, the monkey's paw. Complete ହେଲା ତେଣୁ ଆଜିର କ୍ଲାସକୁ ଆମେ ଏଇଠି ରଖିବା। ନେକ୍ସଟ କ୍ଲାସ ଆମେ ଏକ ନୂତନ ବିଷୟବସ୍ତୁ ନେଇକି ଆସିବା। ସେ ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ମିଲନ ଷ୍ଟଡି ପଏଣ୍ଟ ତରଫକୁ ବିଦାୟ। ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ଏବଂ ଶୁଭରାତ୍ରି। ଜୟ ଜଗନ୍ନାଥ। ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ଏବଂ ଶୁଭରାତ୍ରି। ଜୟ ଜଗନ୍ନାଥ।